Time now to head over to the kitchen and say hello to the first time to ABC7 Culinary Director Judi Gallagher. Judi?
You know, I love doing stir fries. First of all, you can do the prep the night before, so you get home from work and you just grab things. You can clean out your produce drawer, which for me, I probably spend more money on produce than I do on the actual protein because I love fresh vegetables and fruit so much. But that stir fry gives you that value because you can use different things that are in your refrigerator and then just pick up the protein, or maybe you have leftover chicken that you had one breast. That's a perfect time to freeze that and take it out when you feel like a stir fry. You only need 3 ounces of protein per person. So today we're gonna use some flank steak because I bought that on sale. The thing here is value. You don't want to use something like a top sirloin, but remember 3 ounces a serving instead of serving your guests a big steak at 10 ounces is a big difference. So that's gonna help you with cost. When we go to break, I'm gonna stick the flank steak in the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes. It's gonna be so much easier to cut. So once we cut it in that just partial frozen state, it's gonna be fine, but it's gonna go right into a hot pan, and I'll be back to show you how.
All right, time now to get back to the kitchen and check in again with Judi Gallagher. Judi?
Okay, so at break, I made sure I checked on my steak, and we put it in the freezer just to get it a little more firm. And you're always cutting against the grain when you're using something like a flank or a skirt steak, and either would do on this stir fry. Or you can just do tofu instead of something like a meat or a chicken protein or shrimp. So what I did was I added a teaspoon of vegetable oil and a teaspoon of toasted sesame oil. Get all that flavor, but that vegetable oil is really gonna hold the heat. And that's what we need. You can use your wok, or you can just use a big pan like I do. You know, I often buy my real big pans, and even some smaller saute pans over at Fox Restaurant Equipment, because they hold up so well, because this is what restaurants use. So for pans I'm gonna use all the time, this is perfect. Don't use those copper pans. I think they're terrible, they stick, and even on a stir fry, it just doesn't work well at all. And that's a strong opinion from me, but I'm gonna teach you how to cook it right. So we're gonna get this to the point of really rare, and as you can see, that's just about happening. So then what we're gonna do is, here it is, we're gonna do just a dash more of the toasted sesame oil, okay? And then we're gonna push this to the side. So the temperature on the side is not quite as hot. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, kind of depending on what your garlic intake is. I love a lot of garlic, so I'm gonna go with a lot of garlic. So another thing that you can do is you can take leftover steak that, as long as it doesn't have anything like a barbecue sauce or anything, and you can just, instead of this process, you'd start with the garlic, okay? So just think of the garlic out, and then you can just top the steak on top of it. So that looks perfect. Let's get that off into a bowl. Now, soba noodles are a great noodle to serve with this dish. Buckwheat noodles do not have gluten, so they're really good for people that have a gluten intolerance or are on the epileptic diet, and they need to avoid those ingredients. Keeping the pan really high, we've got the steak with the garlic. I'm gonna take the next thing that's gonna be really crispy that we're gonna wanna saute down just a little bit, and that's some fresh carrots. So when we come back, we'll add the other ingredients, give a good saute, and a simple oyster sauce on top.
Time to get back to the kitchen and check in again with Culinary Director Judi Gallagher. Judi?
So I want to keep the carrots cut in a bias. I want to keep them crispy. That's the whole thing about stir fry. We want to keep everything nice and crunchy and crispy. So now I'm going to take the bok choy, and we'll just lay that right next to those carrots, slide those carrots around. You know, the whole point of stir fry is basically you stir and then you fry, stir and then you fry. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Saw the little piece of garlic in there left over from the steak. Now, I read a magazine about a year ago that used to do toasted nuts in their stir fry, and I thought, I don't know about that, but it worked really well. So out of my refrigerated home, of course, I had a few green beans, and I had a little bit of heirloom cauliflower. So that piece I'm just gonna break in two. Cauliflower is another option to make cauliflower rice by simply, you can buy it already, frozen cauliflower rice, but I like to buy the fresh and just put it in my food processor. Now you see how flavorful this is getting, right? Those veggies are crisping up. Now it's time to add the protein back, okay, and all that wonderful garlic, and we'll give this a good saute. To me, green onions, scallions, are always really important in an Asian dish. It gives you that nice crisp bite, but it's also mellower than, say, a regular white onion or purple onion. So this is tossing our really well. Now it's time to talk about sauce, right? The greatest thing about stir fry, again, if the meat, you just make the sauce in the pan, but if the meat gets overcooked, it's just not going to be as delicious. So you can pull everything back out and make a little sauce out of ginger, garlic. If you need chicken broth or vegetable broth, you can do that. I added a little Malaysian curry. Get that packet over at the Spice and Tea Exchange on St. Armand's. Oh, I just love it. It's crazy. So then, it's really going to bump up our sauce is just a bottle of oyster sauce. And the thing about oyster sauce, I love it, but it's really condensed and salty. So about 3 tablespoons is going to be your limit. And then I'm going to add some purple cabbage, loaded with vitamins. So this is such a vibrant, bright dish. And we're going to serve this either on soba noodles or pasta is just fine. So when we come back, I will show you the finished dish, toasted almonds and all, and I think you'll really enjoy. So here we have it. Now just on the crown, I'm going to use a little baby kale and leave that right on the top. And then when somebody sits down, they can toss in those noodles. We have the bok choy, we have the crispy carrots. All that flavor is infused with the orange, fresh orange, and crisp vegetables. And remember, it's a great opportunity on stir fry to clean out your refrigerator, and people will think that you have just made them a dish that's ready for an emperor. If you want this recipe, just go on mysuncoast.com, click on the recipes. You can watch the video, the recipes, and remember, every Wednesday we have a contest. You could win a $50 gift card to one of our restaurant partners. I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it for you, and I will send it back to you guys after one more little bounce of stir fry. I have a nice plate ready. Back to you guys.